Hello. There is cat chaos as there is always wants to be. I figured we would try doing another desk live desk setup cuz hello, good to see you guys. This was fun last time and it was a nice just like change it up kind of a vibe. So, we're trying it today. We'll see if we like stick with this because it's like simultaneous. It's a very different setup. So like it's kind of better in some ways, and then it's also kind of worse. And like I've got my whole like nice aesthetic witchy background over there, but yeah. Oh no! Kitten ran and slammed into wall. That's very on brand for all cats. Would you settle down, my little loved one? I have one cat in lap and one cat on desk, and cat on desk clearly wants to be cat in lap, which I'm sure that tussle is about to happen. So just starting off as we always should with a little bit of cat-related chaos. But yeah, so I thought this was a fun vibe last time. We'll see if I can do it a little more on purpose. And now both cats are gone. That's always what happens. The cat that wants to be in the lap always bothers the other cat enough, and then they're just both gone. That's fine. They are cats. They will do as cat do. I'm still like, I still futz. I keep futzing with the camera angle and everything. It's fine. I'll try not to worry about it too much. How are you guys doing? Happy Tuesday. Welcome, welcome. I have I can't stop thinking about how last time people were like, "Your desk is so clean," and I'm just like, "It's clean right now." Yes. Anyway, we don't need to talk about my desk. I was just the ADHD is strong with me tonight, and that should not come as a shock because it is strong with me every night and every day and every morning. Um, yeah, I have had a very eventful week or so in the spiritual town. The spirituality space has been very active in my brain. So I've got lots that we can talk about today. Ooh, just got your nails done. That's lovely. Fun, fun, fun. I every once in a while I think about I should paint my nails again, but I was never good at it when I was doing it. So it's like from this distance it would have looked fine, but from me actually looking at my nails, it was always like, this is terrible. But aesthetic, regardless. And I'm doing okay. I'm just kind of I'm chilling right now. It's been up and down. Like it's been so active that it's been really up and down and all around kind of vibes. Um, and the eclipse did in fact have quite a lot to do with that. I had the obviously I put that as like a little teaser in the Discord. I did have a deity that I thought was X deity for months and months and months. Honestly, over a year. But like we weren't talking. This is not like this is not one of my deities that you guys know about. This is just someone that I would talk to occasionally. And then I found out within the last week. Uh, that was not who I thought that was. And so, yay! Glad you made it. Welcome, welcome. Uh, that's probably my biggest revelation of the last week or so. Um, Honestly, not even when I say the new type of reading that I got. That's really interesting, and it ties into that same story. So I do want to talk about that. If anything, I want to spend actually much more time talking about that, just because I think the once I tell the deity mismatch story, it'll make a lot more sense than just me saying there was a deity mismatch story. Um, but yeah, it has been a time. It has been a time for all of us. I know. Uh, I hope that everybody's second eclipse went better. I know it was less intense for me this time, which was interesting because I had more stuff happening where the eclipse was happening, but just the overall energy was less intense for me. So I hope that everybody else kind of had a more chill than last time eclipse. Um, and they let you call them by the other deity's public name. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. I think I think they may have both thought it was a little bit funny. Just a little bit. It's yeah. I'll probably way too intense. Oh no. Literally vibrating. That's horrifying. I am glad you came out of it okay. It was still intense for me. It was just, I think, the contrast of how crazy the first Eclipse in Cycle was for me and for everybody else that I know. I heard less stories from everybody else of things going crazy on the second half of the eclipse, and like I told y'all, like I intentionally, I was like, I'm staying home. I am cleaning this eclipse in Virgo. I am cleaning my house and doing nothing else. So like I did some meditations, I did some stuff, and some of this stuff came up while I was like on that day, but it was less intense for me. So that was a slight breath of fresh air, I guess. Uh, but yeah, so for context of our deity mismatch situation, I realistically, I say months. Honestly, if I'm being so for real with you guys, this misunderstanding has probably been happening for a year and a half or so. But like I said, this was not a deity that I had that I was talking to like all the time. This is just a deity that I had an experience, and this is why. So sometimes, uh, like I love helping people figure out who's talking to them, and I love talking to new deities and like getting to know them a little bit and getting that kind of like networking level introduction. It's very fun for me. But this time I actually wasn't I wasn't the one who named the deity first. I had an experience and I spoke to somebody else, not somebody you guys don't know, that I had a session with, and I described it to them, and they were like, "That sounds like this deity that I work with sometimes. You should look into it." And I took that, and I was like, "Interesting. Let me do some research. Let me do some looky, typey, searchy Google time." Did that, and it all matched up like closely enough. So it was my Reiki person that I had the session with, and the original experience that I had, it was really interesting and weird to me because you guys know me, I have this general understanding. I have a general like a good enough basic understanding of a lot of different systems, uh, that I was able to be like, okay, I was meditating on my porch. I was enjoying the sunshine and the blah blah blah, and then I had the sort of third eye overlay that happens, um, just when I'm meditating. Sometimes, like if I ever like look back at myself, I'll get sort of the overlay of my energies and kind of what's happening at that moment, right? And I was just like, oh, there's a new like color, and like the energy around me is moving differently. I don't know exactly what this is, so I just sort of took note of it. I wrote it down in my journal. I did all that stuff. And I just sort of moved on because it didn't seem that important at the particular moment. And what it looked like to me in that overlay, and the reason that I thought it was even notable at all, and if you have watched Naruto, the way that in Naruto they have chakra, right? Like not chakras, but they have chakra, and that's how. And they show this like pulsating blue energy moving through the body, and they show it kind of looking like it's moving through the meridian system a little bit and all that stuff. Um, it was that color, but it was moving very differently and it looked very different. So I have seen in that energetic overlay of my own stuff, my own body, I have seen where the meridians are that way, but I don't understand. Like I kind of understand, but I don't know the actual meridian system well enough. I don't, Christina, are you still around? Because I know you and your acupuncturist will have much. Just you getting acupuncture, you will know more about the meridian system than I do. But I get the gist, and I've seen the meridians through that overlay, but I couldn't like point to them right now. So instead of just that energy being in the meridians and running along these sort of like vein like energy structures, it was uh, it was I know this is weird. We'll get to. I don't know if this is going to be relatable at all. If I'm completely honest, this might not be relatable other than just there being a little mishap, but and that being normal and fine. But so I keep getting I'm getting stuck in details. What happened was that like blue crazy energy looked like fiery on me in a way that I had never really seen before, and that's all I really had. Like that's all I got. I have this like anime looking blue fire energy going all up all over my body and everything. I was like, that's crazy. Okay, cool. And I had a session with my Reiki person like a couple weeks later. I brought it up to her, and this is, you know, the Reiki person that I go to. She is also a medium. She works with some of the same deities I do, at least loosely, and she works with some very, very different entities from the ones that I work with. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. And so what her response was when I explained how this energy looked and what the color was and how it was kind of acting and everything, she's like, that sounds to me like you should look into the Blue Medicine Buddha. And I was kind of like, what? Mind you, like, excuse me, you guys know a lot of my background with all of this stuff. I love Taoism. I have a bunch of, I work a bunch within the Greek pantheon. I have relationships with some Norse gods. I have, like, I have very loose relationships with some of the Aztec gods, which those of you who are here know about. Not that I have the same relationships with your people that I have spoken to, but at least one of them I do now, which was the thing that came up after that reading. Anyway, I digress. So, like, I have relationships with a bunch of different deities from a bunch of different pantheons. I'm not a Buddhism person. I love the concept. I love the... I obviously take a lot of, like, inspiration in the way that I meditate from Buddhist practices, because that's the way that I know the most, and that's the most popular in the West. But I'm just... every time, and I've tried to study Buddhism. I've tried to like really look into it. I've tried to practice it. There's a Buddhist meditation center literally like 1,000 yards down the road kind of thing, you know. Very cool. I've been there multiple times. They have like open house days twice a week. I've gone there, I've meditated with them, I've like stayed for the conversation afterwards. It just doesn't click for me. I just can't. I can understand what they're doing and feeling and understanding and communicating. I can understand all of that part. But I can't have a spiritual experience the same way that they are having one in those moments. So I've always just kind of said, okay, cool. Buddhism, not really for me. Understanding of Buddhist like entities, because also like the Buddha is not a god, right? Siddhartha Gautama is the Buddha and has like this sort of statement that he's like, I'm not a god, don't worship me, right? But the various forms that Buddhism takes, a lot of them have deities. So one of these deities I only knew for so long by the name that my Reiki person gave them based on an experience that I described to her. You know, like it was this little telephone of deity communication. Yeah, telephone game. And it was like, okay, cool. She says this guy that I talked to, or that I had this experience with, is probably the Blue Medicine Buddha. Makes sense. Also, she's a Reiki person. Makes sense to have like a relationship with these medicine sort of related entities, right? Like that all makes like healing entities, that makes sense. And this is where it gets messy, because I could feel something there. Like when she said that, I was like, that is true enough to be worth looking into, basically, right? That's true enough that I want to dig deeper and look further and see what happens. But what I have now come to learn is that essentially that connection and what I did in exploring that ended up taking basically two diverging paths. So I do have a relationship with that entity now. In fact, un momento, por favor. I have statue of this is Blue Medicine Buddha statue, right? And I love the statue, and I saw it in my local metaphysical shop. I loved it as soon as I saw it. I was like, not only, oh my god, that's the guy, but also just like, very cool statue, good vibes, love. And so this is how I know that I did, like that was a connection that I did have, is he also showed up in a dream. And it was a statue that looked like this in the dream. I don't remember the timeline. I don't remember if the dream was before the Reiki session or after. I presume it was after. Regardless, there's a connection. There's something happening there, right? And you, like some of like these, the distinctive features are like I forget which hand it's in. So this one, this little like bowl that he's carrying, like that's a thing that the Blue Medicine Buddha as like there's a real name, right? Like there is a better name, but just like this sort of probably just bad translation, go with it kind of name of Blue Medicine Buddha has this like bowl of like the herbs and things and stuff happening, and like he's got vines growing up his arm here. Very cool, lovely statue, very cool thing. Put you right there. I had the dream where he showed up in that form in the dream. Full statue though, just like stayed statue. Interesting experience, interesting dream. Showed up multiple times in the same dream, in different places, in different locations. Very kind of Matrixy dream, honestly. That's a longer story than we need to tell, but so I'm like, okay, I have some kind of relationship to this entity. That's cool. A few months after the dream, because I'm still just like, I know that this is a thing, and that we have a relationship, but I don't know quite what to do about that. You know, like again, I'm just not really a Buddhism person. I can have a relationship with this entity and not be like a member of the religion that they're associated with. I just don't really get it. That's okay. I don't need to get everything. I'm not trying to learn all the details of every religion of the world, right? I'm not trying to collect them all. I'm just trying to live my life and have the experiences that I have, and whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. Eventually, again, a few months down the line, like very sort of long gaps in between each of these experiences, or each of these conversations, whatever, I had decided that I should look into this a little bit more. And so, and like I should take it a little bit more seriously. I was like, I can tell that someone wants to talk. I think it's him. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do the astral travel situation, blah, blah, blah. And I am going to go and talk, and we'll see what happens. So I did that. Deep meditation, deep astral travel, flying all the way, taking note of what the path is so I can get back there a little bit more easily next time. Just kind of following the energy of whoever this is that wants to talk to me. And I get there, and I see someone who is blue, and they look kind of Buddha-like-ish, I think. I don't know. And here's the thing, I can actually see them, like, really, almost weirdly clearly, and they're huge, and they're in a meditative stance, like, you know, I don't know which... It's not exactly, like, I guess this is... There's a little bit of dust on this. But like this thing where like both feet are up, right? Like I guess that's like full lotus, I think. Hi, Christina. Uh, Welcome back. I had a whole little whole little meridians tangent there for a second, but maybe we'll come back to that. But and just like an acupuncture question, but we don't need to worry about it right now. But yeah, so I had been told the entity that it sounded like was dealing with me was this guy, was this specific blue Buddha. I follow that connection. I journey over to the place of whoever it is that wants to talk to me. They look more or less Buddha-like to me. Surprise, surprise, it's not. It's not a Buddha. It's not the Buddha. It's not this Buddha. It's a completely different entity. I don't find that out. No, it's okay. I don't find that out until this week. That happened, like that journey happened at least 8 months ago. At least. And this is just like, again, I just am not educated enough about Buddhist entities to know the difference. I know some Taoist entities. Some of them also present very Buddha-like, a little bit, like, not quite the same, like they don't have the sort of like the sitting under the Bodhi tree with the snails and everything. They don't have like that iconography on them, but they have that like sort of old sage meditating vibe. I'll go ahead and just flash forward and, you know, cut the suspense a little bit. Turns out when I went and the dead giveaway that I thought was really weird at the time was as I was walking up to them and as I was walking up to this huge entity in this like astral palace, basically, I was like, and first of all, crazy cool palace, a little bit weird for Buddha, but like there's really intricate, cool Buddhist temples and things. I was like, I don't know, I'm not judging. Just really cool, really like grand architecture, sitting in the huge entity, sitting in the middle of the space. And the thing that I clock as really, really weird is I'm like, this is supposed to be a blue medicine Buddha. This is supposed to be a healing entity. But instead of having, you know, I don't know, herbs hanging on the wall or having like a bunch of people learning how to heal around them or whatever, like I don't know what that iconography would look like because I didn't go to their place. Instead, I saw a bunch of different like columns of sand dripping at different time rate, like different time scales was the way that it was presented. It was like, and it was kind of this thing of like sand mandalas, which is also a very Buddhist thing, like specifically Tibetan Buddhist. But it was just, you know, the point was not really the pattern that the sand was making. The sand just was making a pattern. The point was the rate at which the sand was falling, and that all of these, there were like 4, 8, 6, I don't know. There were multiples across, like, along the hallway of all these different sand designs with the sand falling at different time scales. I was like, that's really weird for a medicine, for like a healing entity. Like I could see how like messing with time could be really useful. I could see how slowing bleeding is like one of the big things in Bracharai, right? In like the, yeah, Bracharai, whatever. I don't. But that's one of the things that like they're really known for, like the Pennsylvania Dutch mysticism, that whole thing, where like their healers are known to be really, really good at just stopping bleeding. So like I can see how a healer would need a time-related thing for something like that. That would make sense. And I just called it a day there. I was like, that's the closest thing to a justification I have got. I had a whole conversation with this entity that had little to nothing to do with any type of healing. And just the normal kind of stuff that I expect, the normal kinds of conversations that I expect to have with new entities that I don't know that well, like new deities. Good conversation, very interesting. I've also like, and after that, I've had more conversations with this guy, and like, I just wasn't familiar enough with the energy to discern that guy, that deity that I was talking to, was not this guy, because they look like the iconography was surprisingly similar. The vibe, like now that I know what to look for, I can see the differences in their energy signature, and it never quite felt right. It always felt like I was missing something, but I knew that I did have a connection with this guy. I just thought that that guy was also this guy. And so I had a couple more conversations with that entity that I went and traveled to um, after that, still thinking that it was this guy. But again, I'm like, I can't even, I can't even say his real name. I don't know how. I actually kind of want to look it up right now. I will butcher it if I do that, but I just for out of kind of just out of respect and not being lame and never saying their name, I feel like I should look for it. Let's see if I can. Regardless, did they parent trap you? A little bit, like not on purpose. Like they didn't try to parent trap me. I just couldn't tell the difference because I just there are just things that I don't know. I'm not that special. I don't know everything. I know a lot of stuff, and I know a lot of entities from a lot of pantheons. Um, so, regardless, as you can, you might be getting this little picture of what I'm talking about. Where I'm like, I know entities. I know Germanic entities. I know Greek entities. I know South American entities. I know all European whatever. Uh, if you ask me to speak to like an entity from like a native entity in Alaska, I would have no idea what to do, or in Australia, I would have no idea what to do. But there are large chunks of the world that I'm familiar enough with them and their culture and like all this stuff that I know enough mythology, I know enough general stuff to get the picture. The places that I don't really know about, no matter how much I look into, and East Asian, I got it. I'm not all over it. I don't got all of it, but I got enough of it. I get the picture. The thing I just have never been able to wrap my head around is everything South Asian. I've never quite gotten Buddhism, and I've never quite gotten Hinduism. And that's where our little teeny tiny itty bitty mix up happened. So, when I'm looking at this large blue Buddha looking character, and I am looking at that large blue, vaguely sort of almost ish Buddha looking character, I don't know the difference. Turns out it's Shiva. Yeah, Shiva, the other big blue guy. So this reading that I had, that I sort of keep alluding to, the big new different kind of reading that I've never had before, was from like a Hindu guy. I'll tell this story properly in a minute, but just speedrun version, with a lot of yeah, with just a lot of. I am currently actively learning a lot more about Hinduism. I knew the basics, but I'm in that reading. He's like, so the people like basically who are looking out for you on this side: Shiva, Parvati, Ganesha, or Ganapati, and then like there's a couple other but like he's like, these are the big three that are like involved in your stuff and that you should be like paying attention to. So I've been learning a lot. I've been learning a lot about Shiva and Parvati and Ganapati. and like Ganapati is another name for Ganesha. That's a whole thing that I'm learning. But Ganesha's Parvati and Shiva's son. I'm learning a lot about a whole completely different pantheon that I've always loved, I've always respected. There's a really, really sick Hindu temple in Atlanta that I've been to just once, but I've been meaning to go back, and I'm absolutely going back now. Just like the Hindu temple of Atlanta, it's huge, it's beautiful, it's the most amazing like architectural thing that I've seen, certainly in this state. It's glorious. There's all these statues. There's all this art. It's awesome. I have always loved and respected Buddhism and Hinduism both. Fuck. See, like I know the difference. I know a bunch of intricate differences, but I've just never been able to vibe them out. And still simply just not a Buddhist. It just doesn't work for me the way it works for Buddhists. But I've always like had enough of an understanding and appreciation for Hinduism that I was trying, and I just couldn't keep it all straight. So this reading that I had helped sort of initiate some of that stuff to keep some of it straight for me, enough for me to get in there and start studying it a little bit better. I don't know how well you guys can hear the background music, but the fact that it just switched to this like very India sitar, like I I digress. I'm good. I'm dying. Okay, so I'm learning a lot about a bunch of new entities and a completely different system with a hugely different cultural context that I'm also trying to grasp as well as I can, because I always want to keep in mind like the cultural context of anything that I'm touching with a 10-foot pole if I can, you know. So yeah, I am in the process of learning quite a lot, uh, and so the experience that I ended up having when I found out about Shiva and all of this stuff, and his like the fact that he'd already been involved. Like I wasn't making offerings to him, I wasn't calling on him. He was just already there and just talking to me and like invited me to his palace, basically. Like I was just like in shock. I was like, oh my god, oh criminy, wow. Just I'm still a little floored by it, and so I was like, and I finally like put it all together sort of a little bit after the reading of like, was that just you, like the guy? So and this is how I like confirmed it. Is I was like, I just googled because I know a lot of the things that Shiva is known for, but not all of them. And I just googled, is Shiva like a god of time? And it's like, yep. So that whole thing with these like four sets of falling sand at these different time scales, that I'm like, why on earth would a Buddha related to medicinal practices and healing be in this giant palace with no healing iconography around whatsoever, and a bunch of different time, like, essentially fancy energetic hourglass sand drops. And I like, it's gotta be, and I was just like, it's gotta be a Shiva thing. Please tell me it's a Shiva thing. And I Google it, and it's a Shiva thing. It's still like the fact that they kind of looked like sand mandalas is still kind of interesting to me, because like the sand mandala thing still really is like more a Buddhist thing than it is a Hindu thing. But Hindus have mandalas. It's just not the same practice exactly, but it's similar. Anyway, yes, Kitty. It was very humbling. It was and again, I'm just like, if I have enough cultural context, I have enough cultural context to be able to talk to Aztec deities. And I think, and that's also, there's a past life thing in there. I definitely have at least one Aztec past life situation. Turns out I've also got a past life in India that as part of the reading, the reader like told me the story that I ran out in that life. And it overlapped with like he's in this lineage of the specific guru who did, I have to, I can't piecemeal that story. I have to actually sit down and tell that story all the way out to get there. But yeah, so just to have this like, to have clocked it back then, to have clocked this like 8, 10, 12 months ago, that like this healing entity has nothing to do with time. Why is there all this like emphasis on time stuff? Yeah, and then have that reading and have that saying of Shiva's important for you. He has already blessed you. Like there's like Shiva has already given you his blessing. You just need to like pay attention, basically. So yeah, this is. I hesitate to use this because that is the AI version, but it's probably fine. Yeah. Yeah, Shiva is said to be Lord of Time. Shiva, God of Time, particularly in his form as Mahakal, or the Great Time. No idea if I said that right. So it's just this thing of I have a relationship to both of these entities. I have a relationship to this entity that was started. He was in my dreams. He made himself very present and very well known in my dreams. So we do have a relationship. I am glad that I have this statue. I've had conversations with him. I've had healings with him. He's a great. Love this guy. I did look up his name so that I could try to say it properly. So instead of yeah, I know I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to do my best. Bahai Sajai Guru. That's the best. That's the best I can do. Commonly referred to as the Medicine Buddha. Bhaisajya Guru. So I'm just like you said, I'm just deeply humbled of like, I couldn't even tell the difference apart between these two entities. And ultimately, they are very different. Shiva is like top dog in a lot of sects of Hinduism, right? And there are a ton of different Hinduisms within Hinduism, right? I could tell that he didn't feel like a Buddha, but the setting that he was in and the vibe and everything was just close enough that I just accepted it and went with it. And so looking back, I can tell now. I know what to look for. I know what differences to look for in the energy signatures, but I'm just still learning. I've just not had enough experience prior to this with Buddhist entities or with Hindu entities to know what the energy signatures of the separate pantheons look like, to know what Shiva's specific energy signature looks like, which now that I'm like, oh, that's a really different kind of complexity. Like I can see all those things in retrospect, but it's a really cool experience to be like thrown in the deep end a little bit and then just be like figure it out, and then to figure it out with some help and be like, oh, that's awesome. And I get to like have these two relationships completely separately now and explore them and grow them. Like I said, I am very grateful to this guy. I literally just did a huge healing thing with him and one of my guides like a couple of weeks ago, just like 2 weeks ago, and it was awesome. I wrote it all down. I don't know if I'm going to share that just because that was a whole thing, but I'm extremely appreciative to this entity. And I'm not going to try to say his name again because I am just bad at it. But the Medicine Buddha has all my props and all my thanks. He's awesome. I just thought I was talking to him about twice as much as I was, because I was actually talking to Shiva half the time. Yeah. It's very... Yeah. We are amused. Good. Well, and that's one of the other things that I'm learning and like understanding more about all of this stuff, because again, in the reading that I had, he's like Shiva, Parvati, and Ganapati, and so then I'm like retrospectively having to go check and like, is Ganapati Ganesha? Yes. And then being like, and also Parvati and Kali are the same entity. They're just different aspects of the same goddess. So like, okay, Parvati and Kali are both Shiva's wife, and so are these other two sort of like related entities. Like Parvati is the reincarnation of a different entity. Like I am having to go in deep just to understand to the best of my ability, just to understand the baseline of three Hindu deities, and it's so cool, and it's really exciting to me. I'm having so much fun learning about it, but boy, do I not know anything. Like, you guys have heard me give my whole rant about the seven chakra system as we know it today. I will probably get into that rant again another time soon. Like, I understand things about Hinduism, and I understand like things about yoga, and about I sort of understand what people are talking about when they're talking about Kundalini, but also the I was reading a paper by like an a Sanskrit academic who is like a native English speaker and does a lot of work to translate this stuff and make it so that people can understand that. He's like, the seven chakra system, the way that everybody understands it, is like a misunderstanding of a sort of oversimplified translation of a thing. Like it's like that kind of, again, game of telephone situation. So I have understandings of like how like energy systems within Hinduism work generally as well as you can without all of the cultural contracts and all of that stuff. Um, but yeah, it's a whole new world for me to get really into the pantheon and trying to really, as much as I can, understand some of the culture context, because India is huge. I will It would be a life's work to understand all the subtleties of the different types of Hinduism in the different regions of India, and how the deities sort of evolve across regions and across time. There's so much to understand, and I knew that I only understood the very, very basics, but I didn't think that I wouldn't be able to tell the difference between Shiva and a Buddhist entity. It's just really funny to me now, but my mind is still a little bit blown. Like I figured all of this out last Friday. Yeah, last Friday, because the reading was last Friday, and it was just huge mind-bending revelations of, oh, that's how this works. Got it. So I'm having a lot of fun, but it's complicated. Um, yeah, listen, interesting yourself. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, okay. Difference in having a relationship with the deity, working with them, worshiping them. Uh, a lot of that will just be defined by your communication with them and what the two of you say to each other about that. What I'm understanding about my relationship with Shiva, Parvati, and Ganapati in this context of like what I was told in the reading, because there's a lot of reincarnation stuff in the mix here and all that. I apparently was just like essentially was blessed by them for this reincarnation regardless, like whether or not, like I think the assumption is that like I would figure it out at some point. um but I definitely didn't seek them out. Like I said, like I went into the astral because I knew somebody wanted to talk to me. I basically just knew roughly what they looked like. I've been also trying to like learn more about the mythology and the context behind this medicine Buddha and who he is. I've been trying to learn that, but it's hard when the source material is in Chinese or is in Sanskrit or like anything. Like I want as close to the source material as I can get, and as close to the source material as I can get in a lot of these contexts is whatever's been translated and relatively accessible, made relatively accessible on the internet. Um, yeah, so it's just as much source material as I want to get. I only get as much as I can find that is translated. So yeah, I did lose the track that I was on. The working with worshiping, etc. Okay, worshiping a lot of deities has a lot to do with like the existing religious context that the deity is from. Uh, I will probably never, almost certainly never, have the same relationship with Shiva that someone who was born into a Hindu family and has always been Hindu has. I just don't have the context to have that kind of relationship with him. Even if he's been with me from the beginning, even if he said for this incarnation, let's go, I'm going on this ride with you, I just am just now trying to start to learn. So I will never have the lifetime's worth of learning that some people have had. Especially because I do have relationships with a bunch of different deities from a bunch of different pantheons. When I say I have relationships with at least one Aztec deity, we've spoken 3 times. They were important in my past life, I'm pretty sure. I still don't have all the details on that life and what I was doing. They are not. I am not actively working with them. I am just communicating with them occasionally. I'm not asking for anything from them either. I'm just like I am at my work as like a medium, as like a professional medium, to the extent that I am, like this is my side gig, but I love it. I'm really passionate about it. I put time into it because it's important to me, and I like to help people when I can. So I have relationships vaguely with I would consider that I have a relationship with pretty much any deity that I've reached out to. I have a relationship with any deity that I've reached out to in a reading, but I would say that I have like a developing, like notable relationship with any deity that I've reached out to outside of a reading where I communicated with them for somebody else. If I have reached out to them directly myself on purpose, or they reach out to me directly themselves on purpose, which has happened a time or two, including Shiva, we have a relationship. Even if I don't have all the context, even if I am having this relationship with Shiva and I think it's a different deity, doesn't matter. I have a relationship with Shiva even if I'm a little bit in the dark about it. That's what I would consider having a relationship with a deity. Any level of like basically networking level connection or higher. Working with a deity, you are choosing something that you're going to work on together. You are probably there will probably be some kind of like terms to this agreement of like, we will work on this together for a year, or we will work on this together until this milestone, or something like that. And then worshiping a deity, you worship them. Worship is probably the simplest to define because we all know what a deity worship looks like. I worship Apollo. I worship Aphrodite. I kind of worship Hermes. I also make fun of Hermes. But I legitimately do work with Hermes more because Hermes has more to do with my like underworld work. I don't worship Hades. I don't have an altar to Hades. I have an altar to Hermes. I don't have an altar to Hades right now. I've had one in the past. I will probably have one again at some point. I don't worship Hades, but I do work with Hades because I literally do spiritual work with Hades. I don't work on myself and for myself with Hades. We have a relationship. I have a relationship with Hades. I do work for Hades, like in the underworld. But I don't worship Hades. He's basically my boss. So that's a little bit of a long-winded way of answering that question. But yeah, relationship is like anything networking level or higher. Working with is you have agreed to work together on something, and worship is whether or not you're working with them, you have some kind of worship practice to that deity. I am, I guess, developing a worship practice honestly more to Ganesha currently than Shiva. I'm working on it, right? Like this is a working my way up, starting from nothing, right? So in the reading that I got, I was given recommendations of things to do, of say this mantra this many times, this many days, whatever. Like Like, I was given instructions of what to do based on that reading. I was told, if you just want to say a mantra anytime, like, this mantra is your lucky mantra. It is a Ganapati or Ganesha mantra. Say this one. So I am saying that mantra, which is a like worship oriented mantra, to Ganapati, to Ganesha. I'm developing a worship practice there. I still don't totally know what I'm doing. I don't want to do anything wrong. We all don't want to do anything wrong at the very beginning, especially with a new deity. This is just, I'm just doing my best, and I'm just learning, and I'm trying, and Ganesha knows that, and Shiva knows that. One of the other funny things, this is just a tangent for a second. I talked about when I started working with Apollo and worshiping Apollo around the same time. I realized all of a sudden that I already had all of the things that I needed to make an Apollo altar. I don't have all of the things that I need to make a Shiva altar, but I do have this. This is a Shivalingam. I don't know. It's a crystal. It's relatively common. You can find them at every metaphysical shop. This is a big one. It's a very nice one. It's a very pretty one. I love it. I have cherished it for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. I will come back to the chat and catch up a little bit in just a second. I got this while I was still in St. Augustine from my favorite crystal shop there, which I love. I meant to check if it's still there. I don't know if it is, but I want to go back. I don't want to go back to St. Augustine, but whenever I go back to St. Augustine, I want to go to that crystal shop. It's my favorite. It is the, it's teeny tiny, literal, small mom and pop shop. One woman owns it. She fills this tiny shop to the brim with crystals. There's crystals on the floor. There's crystals on the bookcases. There's tables full of crystals. There's a teeny tiny little massage / Reiki studio in the one room in the back. And when she goes to trade shows to buy more crystals, the shop is closed. That kind of small teeny tiny shop. Love it so much. That woman, who is awesome, knew me. I'd been there enough times. I think I just picked this up anyway. I don't think she handed it to me. But I was in there for the millionth time. And I picked this up and she just starts telling me kind of the story of it. And I wish that I could remember more of it. But the short version is a lot of the Shivalingam stones that you do see in a lot of metaphysical shops are man-made. They are machine refined. A lot of them are really small. They're that big compared to, that big. They're all generally in the shape, and it is a Shiva lingam. Turns out, pretty much every Hindu temple is what I read. I don't know how true that is. I assume so. And certainly everyone that's dedicated to Shiva has one of these, and it basically represents his dick. It's a phallus. It's that kind of thing where the yoni thing is Parvati, and it's a vagina. It's very that. But I love this thing, and I could tell when I picked it up that it was special and important and blah 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 blah. The shop owner telling me the whole story of how this is one that's a natural one, and it's all this stuff, and she was a shop owner. Maybe she was selling it up a little bit. I don't know. But it was just it's a really good memory, and it's a really strong memory of the number of times that I've been in a metaphysical shop. Do y'all know how many fucking times I've been in this metaphysical shop? I can count on one hand the number of times that I remember picking up a specific crystal and having a real connection to it beyond just, I like this. I can think of 3 times, including this one, that's happened. So it was just this thing where this has been in the background of basically every live that I've done since being back in Georgia. This has been in the background of, and it's on my little desk over in the other room, and it just sits there, and I love it, and I keep it there, and I want it there all the time, but I haven't interacted with it in ages. It's just sat there. And so now this is the amount of meditation time that this stone has gotten in the last 6 days or so compared to what it was getting before. Don't fall off the desk. Exponential increase. So it's just like I said, it's not quite the same as the Apollo thing where I already had all of the stuff to make an Apollo altar. I don't already have all the stuff to make a Shiva altar. I will soon. There's I also, part of that reading is I get more instructions, and they'll send me more stuff, including what it takes to make a proper altar. But yeah, it's a wild ride for me. But finding out that Shiva reached out to me first, I literally went and talked to him without knowing it was him. I already had this, which I have cherished and loved for 7 years or something. Something like that, 7 or 8, I don't know. Between 6 and 8, doesn't matter. It's just one of those moments where I love the moments where everything click, 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 pop, 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 all hits into place, and you just go, damn, that's cool, that's great. I'm so I can see the path that we took now, even though I can only see it retroactively, or retrospectively. Very cool, very fun. I will actually catch up on the chat now, but it's just, it's crazy catching up with where a bunch of stuff already is. Having a bunch of stuff that was already a thing and now catching up on it is a very cool, but very weird experience. Oh, I can't. My mouse is on the other. I was gonna make the chat bigger. Yes. So many things to learn about different deities. Tell me about it. Did I move something? I think it's fine. Did I actually move something? Oh well, I'll fix that later if I did. Worked with Hecate before, but that's done for now. What would that be called? A connection or relationship? Lid, I would just say that I would say you still have a connection to Hecate. If you wanted to go talk to her, she would probably talk to you. I don't see, you have worked together in the past. You have a relationship with her now. This is keep in mind, I was trying to sort of give definitions before, but when I say have a relationship with, that's a really informal term and a really inspecific term. That's why I'm just anything networking level and above. If you know each other's name, if this entity knows that you exist, you probably have a relationship with them. If they would answer if you called or send a delegate or something like that, you definitely have some kind of relationship with each other, whether or not you are working together. They know you, you know them. You've had a conversation or two. That would be bare minimum. You have a relationship with this deity. You've worked with Hecate. I know a little bit of your background there, just vaguely. You've got a reasonably good relationship with Hecate if you've already worked with her. So yeah, I wouldn't get too hung up in the specifics, but absolutely, yes. Don't have an altar for Kali, but we will communicate, and I will ask for help if she offers. Yeah. And that's me working with her. Yeah, I think that's fine. That makes sense. I think that's where depending on who you're talking to, some people will get really nitpicky about exactly what deity work is. Some people would be having a conversation once in a while is not working together. But also, it kind of is. There is a formal deity work definition that some people that are really into their deity practices really care about. And I think that maybe that's more of a Hellenic thing. I don't know, y'all, I am in sort of more traditional Hellenic polytheist spaces occasionally, and to learn and absorb and everything, but I know that what I do to them would not be considered Hellenic polytheism, so I don't call myself a Hellenic polytheist. Like, and the definition that those people have of working with one of their deities might be a little bit different than whatever else, you know? So it's just, it's whatever it is, right? But yeah, you get my drift. How do you go from working with to worshiping, or did you start at worshiping and then went to work for that deity? Okay. Either or. It doesn't have to be in that order. I would say it's much more common. Uh, like if you, I'm just gonna keep using Hellenic polytheist because it's a good, relatively comprehensible example. Most Hellenic polytheists will have some level of worship practice, at the very least for the Olympians, and maybe for some other of the Hellenic gods. And then maybe they'll only work with Zeus, or they'll only work with Athena, or they'll work with Zeus for 6 months, and then start working with Athena halfway through and work with her for 8 months. Like, you know, your relationship, general term, not like using relationship as a thing with a definition, your whatever your relationship is with a deity can start anywhere and end anywhere. If you really need help with a specific thing and you have basically no existing relationship with the deity, but you know that deity is the one who would be able to help you the best, and you approach them and say, I would like to work together on this. I know we haven't, established a connection yet, but I would like to try because I would like to work on this and I would like you to be the one to help me. There's probably going to be some level within working together. There's probably going to be some requirement that you do some research, maybe do some worship, right? Like most people who are working with a deity will have some kind of worship oriented relationship with that deity also. Not everybody, but like you have to know enough and have enough perspective on the deity that you're not going to the mall, right? You're not picking out Zeus the way that you pick out a new shirt, right? You don't just go, ooh, pretty, mine, buy. Like, if you want to start with giving an offering, making an introduction, then maybe after you've made your introduction, say, I've got an idea, would you be open to working with me on this? You can do that. They can also say no. The deity can say no, even if you've already made an offering, even if you already have a relationship. If the deity doesn't think, like Hecate, I think is a perfect example of somebody who, if you want to work with her and she doesn't think she's right for whatever you're doing, she's not going to waste her time. She's going to say, I'm not going to do that with you. She might say, or she might send a delegate to say, try this person instead. She might. She doesn't have to. She has no obligation to anything, especially if you don't have a relationship. Even if you do have a relationship. If you have a close relationship with Hecate and you say, I want to work together again, we've already worked together, let's do it again. She might just say no. If she doesn't want to, or she doesn't think that she's the right fit for the thing that you're trying to do, she might just say no. So whatever the relationship looks like, whether it starts as worship and becomes working together, or whether it kind of starts as working together and maybe there's a little bit of a worship practice in that working together, but there's no long-term expectation or whatever, that can look like anything. If you don't worship the deity at all, but you do work together and you at least have enough mutual respect to be cool and be chill and respect that deity, and that's all you got, that's fine. That could work for you. If that works for the two of you, that works for the two of you. Working together is more formalized because you're doing a task, and that task, like, you're theoretically working towards a task, and that task probably has an end date. If you're not working actively on a task together, but you call them in and you have a conversation, and then they go back out again, you could consider that working together for the course of that conversation, because they helped you with whatever that was. Whatever the level of reciprocity looks like between the two of you, whatever the level of work versus worship looks like between the two of you, that's between y'all. You're gonna have to figure that out your own way every time, however you do that. So yeah, it's just like all of these things are deeply personal to all of us. We're all on different paths and journeys and blah 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 blah. I kind of generally tend to stay away from this point because we all know we're doing different stuff. We all know we're on different paths. But just like, it's worth noting, like, your journey is not going to look like mine, but I can try to help you whenever it does look like it. I can try to help you. If it doesn't look like it, like, you guys know me, I will try to help you. Like, it may be in a like reading type service context, but like, I will do my best to help you whether or not I have a relationship with that deity beforehand. I've certainly multiple times had like spoken to deities where the first thing that I do is, hey, I've got this person, we need to figure this out, and they say, okay, let's work on that. That's not me working with the deity. I am a medium. I'm the intermediary. I am helping. Like, talked to for you, Lid. That deity and I have almost no relationship. I've only ever spoken to that deity in that reading. Very cool, much respect. We don't work together. I have not spoken to them since. One of the other Aztec deities that I did speak to in a reading, we have spoken since that reading. We have some level of relationship. We have never worked together in this life. We worked together in a past life. That was the whole thing. Yeah, so it's just like, I have at least some level of relationship to a lot of deities from a lot of different pantheons, because I choose to and enjoy being a medium for other people, including other mediums, other spiritual people. Like, I love that. That's a thing that makes my brain go burr and makes me excited, makes me passionate, like, to do that stuff for and with you guys. But you, as a solitary practitioner, you have your own relationships, you have your own boundaries, your own diagrams and dioramas of how you're related to all of the deities and whether or not you are related to them at all. We're all just doing whatever we do. And part of my path is helping people in a way that not everybody chooses to help other people with their spiritual path. So whether or not I have a relationship, I will form a relationship within the context of that consult to help you guys. You know? But you guys don't have to worry about that. Like, that's way more... If you're just doing your work, you're just doing your work, and that's all you ever got to worry about. Yeah, I know. It's a process, Lid, but you'll get there. You got it. You got it. Okay. Oh, the pools. The pools in C.S. Lewis. Oh. I'll just give you a quick rundown of what the Meridian thing was real quick. The first interaction that I had with this guy was I was just describing that, and visually what it looked like. The way the energy looks sort of like blue-white, but mostly blue on the meridians, and the way that's kind of like illustrated and explained. I saw kind of that color, a little bit more blue, of energy, because I've seen where the meridians are on my body in this kind of like general sort of third eye overlay thing. But I can't do it all the time. I can't. So but I can see like where those like acupuncture points are. I can see where some of the meridian lines are from time to time. It's not a special skill that I advertise because I don't know the system enough. I don't know how to use them to help heal people. I don't know any of that. So that's what I was like. This is where you and as a person who's received acupuncture treatments and has like is to some extent friends with your acupuncturist, you probably know more about meridians than I do. But that for me in the context of what I was talking about, the my energy looked kind of like the energy that runs through the meridians. That kind of blue energy was like a whole flame that was like engulfing my body and running along these paths a little bit, but like it was much more powerful, much more vibrant, but it wasn't quite the same thing. And kind of my joke about it was that it looks like in Naruto how they have chakra, and it's like most of it's blue, and a lot of the time it's like as it's like running through, and they show these kind of like body overlays of like how the chakras moving through the body, and it looks like blue flame. And so it's like that was the experience that I was having of like this blue flame overlay, and just like sort of basically just being this is much more intense than the average just kind of looking at the meridians thing is. That was it. I don't remember. I think I did have a question, but I no longer remember what it was. But that was the context of what it was. And yeah, I mean, just look at. I don't know that his fire is necessarily supposed to be blue, but like it was roughly that color. It was big blue fire, and it was this guy, or at least that's what my Reiki person told me. And so that's how kind of the whole story started. Of the relationship that I had with him started with me being like, "What was that? Like that was." My sound keeps going out. Oh no, I don't know what to do with that. Okay. Well, in that case we might have to call it a night for tonight, cuz I don't have a way to fix that, cuz I don't know what's going on other than yeah, I don't know what that could be. Unless it's like I'm shaking stuff, and maybe like the shaking is I don't have enough tech. I don't have enough tech control over this to know how to fix that. Not for me sound is fine. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe try closing the app and coming back, Christina, if you want. We are gonna start winding down, but I'm curious about the C.S. Lewis and the pools, because I have read some of the other C.S. Lewis books, and I know what pools you're talking about. So I'm curious, but we are also over an hour, so I'm getting towards wanting to wind down. But let me know what you're thinking. Let me know where your head's at with that, and we'll see if why not. We'll call it one last thing before we go. And yes, it is almost 10 p.m. and yes, I am still drinking this coffee. I have ADHD. I will be I will survive. I will still probably fall asleep at 11:30 p.m. on the dot. Restart happens fine now. Okay, cool. So what is the tell me your C.S. Lewis pools. Tell me what's up. I want to hear it. Make sure I didn't miss anything else while we're here. I will say, just even starting with what I do remember of the pools, like I think you guys have probably heard me talk about it before. I love the show The Magicians. I don't know how many of you guys follow like Brew Hoppons, Rebecca. I don't know if I haven't seen her in a while. I don't know if she's still doing stuff. I don't know. But she also loves The Magicians. We've talked about that many times. In The Magicians, they have pools that are... they have like the library sort of overworld with a bunch of fountains, and they jump through the fountains to get into the other worlds and the pools and everything. So yeah, which other pools? Okay. So we did talk about this. Okay, I was like, this sounds familiar. What am I forgetting? Or like I wasn't sure if I was forgetting anything. It was just like, let's go. Okay. Yeah, the liminal space, worlds being different pools. Yeah. I think that's just like a not infrequent way to illustrate that. I know I'm no expert on C.S. Lewis, but I've known a number of spiritual magical peoples to all kind of agree that like C.S. Lewis was one of those. He kind of got it. He was in the right realm. He was very like Christian, and that was like part of his whole thing, right? But like as a spiritual person and as someone who's like, you know, when like Emily and Crystal Lynn talk about high vibe fiction and how they define all of that, like I think that pretty much all of C.S. Lewis's stuff fits into that, where it's like this isn't just like cannon fodder fiction, you know. This is like, oh, you tapped into some stuff and it's on that page. But yeah, I do love using like the pools and the fountains and all those sort of like related visual metaphors for like traveling the world. I think that's a great way to do it, and if that's how you experience it, that's awesome. Yeah, I just fly. I just go in straight lines. I'm like, I look like I'm flying. The way that the sort of time space warp thing looks around the TARDIS in Doctor Who, that's kind of what it looks like when I'm traveling from place to place. So that's what I do. That's what I know. I did realize I meant to bring my Dao De Ching over again so that I could do the bibliomancy, and I did not remember to bring it over. I could just go to the other room, but I feel like the fact that I have so many other books around, I feel like I should just use one of these books. What do I have on my shelf? I'm trying to yeah. If you had any more that you wanted to talk about, go ahead and drop it in the chat, but I'm pondering. I do have my copy of the Odyssey. I don't love that translation though. Just open the magic bag? What? What are you guys not telling me? I have a couple of interesting weird books over here. I'm just gonna, because this is my whole, I would show you guys, but I have mail on the table and I'm not trying to leak my address. But, not that you guys are gonna be worried about it. But still don't want that on YouTube. So I would show you guys my bookshelf, but that. Could use the Odyssey. I also have, that's all my like folk tales. Those are good. I kind of want to use the Mabinogion. This has been a very deeply not Greek or Celtic live, but for some reason the books that I want to use, I mean, I've referenced the Greek stuff a lot, so I could do the Odyssey. But I'm just like, why do I want to use the Mabinogion? Why do I want to use the Welsh? Why do I want to use the Welsh mythology? Just as a joke. I also have Irish verse and anthology. Here, I'm just gonna bring all three of these books and we're just gonna vibe it out. Oh, Mary Poppins. That's right. That does make sense for Magic Bag. Of course. Okay, what do you guys want your bibliomancy to come from? Do you want Irish verse and anthology, edited by Bob Blaisdell? Blaisdell? Sure. The Mabinogion, translated by C.E. Guest. Like I said, Welsh folktales. Or Good Old Odyssey, in a translation that I have never actually read this book because I don't like the translation that much, but it's still the Odyssey. Drop your vote in the chat, and I may or may not just do the first one that comes up. I guess this is fine. It's not a bad translation. Irish. Okay. Option 2 is Welsh. Right? We have Irish, Opera 2, and Irish. Okay, we're just gonna do Irish. Honestly, fuck it. We're gonna do both of these because I really want to do the Mabinogion too, and I don't know why. But Irish first. Okay. And you can tell it's old because it's brown. That's okay. Smells like old book. Okay. Y'all know what to do. I'm just so deeply amused that we spent this entire live talking about Buddhist and Hindu deities and then like a small tangent into Greek, and we're finishing doing the Bibliomancy in an Irish book. And Welsh. Okay. Yes, old book smell. Okay. Is this... Oh, how are you formatting this? Is that the writer at the beginning or is the writer at the end? I don't know. Okay, whatever. It's fine. This one, I landed right on the first stanza of this our dear native island, which is going to be deeply Irish, of course. The specific line that I landed on: may orange and green no longer be seen, disdained with the blood of our island. Damn. Oh, okay. Yeah, I did. I'm gonna start from the beginning, but I was just trying. I was like, what is the specific line? Because it does start with like God and stuff. Because it's Irish. May God in whose hand is the lot of each land, who rules over ocean and dry land, inspire our good king from his presence to fling ill advisers who'd ruin our island. Don't we feel 'tis our dear native island, a fertile and fine little island? May orange and green no longer be seen, disdained with the blood of our island. So okay, it's taking pride in where you're from and what you know a little bit. But that's just a very punchy way to say that, because it's Irish. And again, I can say this because I'm Irish. I mean, I'm English, German, Austrian, and Irish, but you know, I can make fun because large parts of my family are German and Irish Catholic, and that's just what the vibe here. What's this next line? The fair ones we prize clearly despise those who make it a slavish and vile land. Yeah, this just feels like politics. This feels like the current American politics. This feels unrelated to anything else that we've talked about in the live, but honestly, fair. Oh, don't we feel 'tis our dear native island, fertile and fine little island. May orange and green no longer be seen, disdained with the blood of our island. The fair ones we prize declare they despise those who make it a slavish and vile land. Be their smiles our reward, and will gallantly guard all the rights and delights of our island. Sheesh. Y'all get it. Y'all don't even need me to explain that. So I'm interested because that part makes a little bit more sense. My finger landed right here, so I was like, oh, it's under here. So that's the part that I started with. But my finger was on this, like, the fair ones we prize just clearly despise those who'd make it a slavish and vile land. Be their smiles our reward, and will gallantly guard. Because I was trying not to do a bad Irish accent, but yeah. It's intense. That's a strong one. So is this... Yeah, okay. You have Edward... Oh, no, that's an Irish name I'm not going to be able to say. Light... Would that just be Light? Light? Lysaght, Edward Light. I don't know how to. Sheesh. Whew. Never using this book for bibliomancy again. That's a lie. I actually quite like it. But yeah. Attempting to take pride in where you're from, but man, people want to fuck it up. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. That was intense. We're gonna switch to the other book. Just for a closing thought, this could also be intense. There's some intense shit in the Mabinogion, but let's go. You also smell like old book. You're not even that old. This is not that old of an edition of the Mab. I don't think did I buy this one new? It just smells old. Anyway, I'm trying to look for the publishing date. Doesn't matter. Maybe I did buy this used. It smells really old. Okay. I'm so off track right now. Okay. In addition, for the next week or so. Yep, gonna have to take a moment to pre-read this in the Welsh names. It's a very similar vibe. I'm not gonna lie. I think whoever we're bibliomancying with this fine September Eve is sending a pretty clear message. Okay. I don't think I even need to say the names. I think I can skip the names. Yeah. Unto me they did wrong, and unto thee dishonor. Verily, he exclaimed, I will do to the utmost of my power concerning this matter, but first I will cause thee to have compensation, and then I will have amends made unto myself. It's just, we are hitting the politics, guys, and I'm not sorry about it, because this shit's fucking crazy right now. That was a tangent that I was not planning on talking about the political state of the U.S. right now, but it's worth talking about. This shit's insane. So, everybody's getting fucked over. I will do the utmost of my power concerning this matter, but first I will cause thee to have compensation, and then I will have amends made unto myself. We gotta work together. We gotta work together. Please, ha! It's fine. We're not crashing out. We're not crashing out on the live. It's okay. I'm deeply amused that both the Irish and the Welsh are in their very intense feelings that are very applicable to this moment. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. This has been a long one. So thanks for coming, thanks for chatting, thanks for back and forth, and thanks for listening to my rather long story about thinking that one of the literal highest gods in all of Hinduism was just a Buddha from a different system. Wow, boy, was I wrong, and that's okay. And humility and learning and trusting yourself and blah 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 blah. Fun story, fun time. Thank you, everybody. I will. I see you all next week. I'm going out of town over the weekend. I should be back by Tuesday. I might be crashed. I might be out of energy. I will do my best to be here next Tuesday. Thank you guys for coming, and I will see you all next time. All right? Have a good night, guys.